I will be discussing further this issue between the NNPC and the CBN. Joining me now on the news at 10 is Dr. Boniface Chizie, an economist here in Lagos, or in Nigeria. He said you came all the way from Benin. Thank you for joining us on the news at 10.
Well, thank you very much.
Well, let's just start from the beginning then. What's your take on the back and forth argument between the Central Bank of Nigeria and the NNPC?
Well, my chief asked me, I think it's a charade. I think it's a circus. I think that's really, you ask yourself, what are we going to achieve from what is happening? Now, the Central Bank has made an allegation, and then NNPC also takes a different position. And then you say to yourself, in such a situation, what you need to do is to bring in an auditor. And we have an auditor general of the Federation. He's not been has not been brought into this.
Does he have to be invited?
Well, I don't know. I don't know how this has been operated. I think that we have to bring in an auditor. The Central Bank isn't an auditor. And so CBN is made an allegation. And then so if you have an allegation like this and you begin to hold public hearings and so on and so forth, and this hearing and figures have been branded, and then CBN makes an allegation, and the NNPC says CBN is operating from a position of lack of adequate appreciation of their operations and so on and so forth. And then I thought that we are chasing shadows, we are wasting time, and I think that what we needed to do was to bring in somebody who's an auditor, to look into this matter and tell us exactly what the correct position is.
When you say that, when you're asking what we intend to achieve or what the CBN government intends to achieve, I'm assuming that you're asking, in the end, are we going to see this money?
Well, it's not just where we're going to see this money. If you put this in context, the issue of the transparency and accountability in the oil industry has been with us for quite some time now. It didn't just start with this administration, so it's been there for quite some time. And so you need to ask yourself, why is it being orchestrated? Why is it being brought, to the forefront? And why, the politics has been overheated, by, what is going on. So, so at the end of the day, yes, we need to have transparency, we need to have accountability. Those are the hallmark of a democracy. But you say to yourself, is this the best way to go about it? You ask yourself, is Central Bank itself, is Central Bank in a position, is it the Central Bank operating within its remit, to begin to question,
But before you go on carrying on asking your own questions, I have one.
Yes.
The CBN governor has accused the NNPC of operating a racket through which Nigeria has lost billions, if not trillions of naira. Can this be a fact?
Well, I think it's unfortunate for such allegations to be made. I call it allegation. I think that if you want to make such allegations, then you better make sure you have a fact. If you don't have a fact and make such allegations, I think it's not right. It's unfair. I think it's weighty, and I think that we need to be very careful.
Yeah, but there seem to be some inconsistencies in Mr. Sanusi's claims. Back in December, where Mr. Sanusi appeared along with the Finance Minister, Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, before the Senate Committee on Finance, the CBN alleged that the NNPC is yet to remit $12 billion. The minister rejected Mr. Sanusi's figures, insisting that it's only $10.8 billion, and that that's because it's yet to be reconciled. This month, Mr. Sanusi returned before the committee alleging $20 billion. That's about 3.2 trillion naira still missing. I mean, who are we going to believe here?
Well, that's why I said it's a charade. I think it's unfortunate. An institution like that is so robust as Central Bank, with a robust research infrastructure, should not come up with such figures. And so, such figures just from Central Bank, and then it's probably not the first time. There's a time we had this issue of, name and shame and so on. That's debtors of banks and so on and so forth. And we put out names of people who are supposed to be debtors of banks. And it turned out that, people came to refute such allegations. I think that is not good for the country. This thing it's been seen beyond the shores of this country. People out there are watching, and you can find the governor of Central Bank, as soon as Central Bank pushes out a figure, in some places, it could have very far-reaching consequences.
Okay. So, yes, we figured out what the problem is. We're trying to figure out what the CBN governor hopes to achieve. But in the end, what's the way out? What do you recommend, Nigerians do? What do you recommend the CBN does, or what the Senate committee does in the end of the day?
Well, I think that, like I said earlier, I think what you need to do is to bring in an auditor, to look at the books and tell us really what is happening. I think that there's a need for us to have transparency. But I think also that the central bank has to, learn to keep within the framework. I think that the central bank is a banker to the government. It's like a treasurer. Anybody's going to be raising such issues, it should be the Minister of Finance. Not the central bank. But I think that really, when the time we put into this matter, we should be time better spent doing something more important for this country.
Mr. Dr. Boniface Chizia, thank you so much for speaking with us on the News at 10. Dr. Boniface Chizia is an economist. He's been discussing the recent spat between the Central Bank of Nigeria and the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation. Thank you so much.